Welcome back to another episode of the Jet Take. I'm your host, Ben Blessington. It is the end of an era here. I guess error is what I should say here at Florham Park as the Jets have fired Todd Bowles. This episode devoted to the start of the Jets offseason, and obviously the most important part of it is finding the guy to steer the ship, the new head coach of the New York Jets. So joining me now, as always, Mr. Money, Kyle Fahey. Kyle, how you doing, man?
I think that I'm doing good, Ben, to answer your question. And I think everybody needs to pat my back right now because I am a survivor. You want to know why, Ben?
I don't really, but okay.
Okay. I have been suffering for the past 3.5 years more than anybody else on the face of this planet, seeing a man.
Really?
Wait.
Kyle Fahey's
Ben.
been suffering for 3.5 years.
More than
Children slaves.
yes, more than anybody on the planet. Because a man by the name of Todd Bowles has been wearing my team's emblem and making the decisions that count when he should have been gone so long ago and shouldn't have been hired in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, he's gone. We did it. We got him. He's gone. Todd Bowles is gone. I am so incredibly happy. This past week, it has been like a weight lifted off my shoulders or a weight lifted off my toe in Eric Tomlinson's case. I am so incredibly happy that we have what looks to be a group of 3 or 4 individuals that I will be legitimately happy with hiring to coach Todd Bowles, to coach Jamal Adams, Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa, etc., and somebody who is a capable leader.
Coach Todd Bowles.
I didn't
say to coach Todd Bowles.
I don't think I said that. Did I?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what you said.
Well, I said to coach Sam Darnold, Jamal Adams, Quincy Enunwa, Robbie Anderson, etc. Pretty sure that's what I said.
I heard Todd Bowles, but I may also be wrong. So
yeah, I think you're wrong.
One of us is going to be embarrassed here.
Yeah. We'll let the listeners decide.
It's probably you, but it could be me. So, anyways, well, I'm glad to know that your suffering is over. Not really. I was kind of enjoying it, but yeah, I mean, you did. I will say you were a little early. I don't know if you should be. I don't know if you should be taking credit. After the week 16? No, sorry, 2016 week 1 when we lost to the Bengals in that close game
on 9/11.
Keep in mind the Jets are coming off a 10-6. The Jets are coming off a 10-6 season. I mean, I was as pissed as anybody at Todd Bowles and for the week 17 performance against Buffalo, but he still got a 10-6 year out of Ryan Fitzpatrick and whatnot. Fucking week 1. You had Fire Bowles. You misspelled his name, but you made it graphic, and you got so much hate on that post. You're like, what the? Do you remember that Willie Colon was in your mentions?
Yep.
Who else was there?
I got called a racist because I wanted him fired.
I mean, yeah, you were dumb to suggest it then.
No.
Even though we could cut, the signs were definitely there.
There, yes.
Week 17. Dumb in the sense that he wasn't going to get fired. So there was really no point in just saying – there was really no point in starting a movement in the sense that, like, yeah, there were some signs, but from our perspective, it was like, okay, well, maybe he'll be able to turn it around. And, he's a rookie head coach, and he made a mistake in that week, 17 game. But then you turn to the Bengals game, and, his defense played all right. They had 7 sacks. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it was dumb then. But, yeah, I mean, throughout that season, that 2016 season, it was like, oh, his team's not really getting any better. His coaching style is remaining the same. He's not really changing any management. And then it was like, okay, well, he'll get another year because – maybe it was just a down year. And then 2017, it was the same. It was more of the same. And then I was like, oh, God, can we please fire him? And I was like, okay, I guess he's returning. They're going to give him another chance. 2018, we get that big win against Detroit. It's finally changed. Jets are heading in the right direction. And then it was back to more of the same. Just mediocrity, poor game management, lifeless on the sideline, teams coming out and laying an egg when they need to play, well. The symptoms of a Todd Bowles coach team. It was just lifeless, uninspiring, not that talented, not playing that well. He's finally gone. So, as you mentioned, the Jets have cast a wide net and have plenty of guys that I'm interested in and some guys that I'm really hoping is just to bring in just doing their due diligence on. The list that's, it's being recorded Wednesday night, this podcast is. So the list that we have of everybody that they've reportedly been interested in or contacted, I guess excluding the Harbaughs, Eric Bieniemy, who had his interview this morning. Todd Monken, they requested an interview with him. Jalen Richard, the defensive back. Oh, sorry, Tom Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Jalen Richard, not Jalen Richard. Is that his name? Did I just mess up his name?
Rams DB coach?
Oh, wait, that's a running. No.
No, Jalen Richard.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Cowboys. Yeah, no, yeah. Hold on. Chris Richard, sorry. There we go.
Oh, boy.
I knew when I said I was like, that's a football player. Okay, well, you said, what did you say, the Raiders or something? The Seahawks?
I said the Rams. The Cowboys. I said the Rams DB coach.
The Rams. Remember, that's Denard Wilson, our current defensive. Remember before the show when I was like, we should really make sure we get some stats by these guys.
It's not like
so we're not just talking.
It's not like he matters. I mean,
he could get the job. I mean, if they like him,
if we hire a DB coach, I'm done. That will be it. That would be so dumb.
I mean, to be fair, Chris Richard is a hot NFL candidate. I don't think he'll be the Jets coach, but if the Jets feel that
you know who else apparently is a hot NFL candidate? Jim Caldwell apparently is a hot NFL candidate. Explain that.
I was getting to Jim Caldwell. I was getting to the offensive version of Todd Bowles. Mike McCarthy is another guy that they've apparently been interested in. Former, Super Bowl winning coach of the Green Bay Packers, had, winning record in the playoffs. Been to big games, but, the past 2 years have been pretty shaky, and you're wondering if he's only won one Super Bowl with both Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. How talented is this guy really? Cliff Kingsbury, who set Jets Twitter on fire last night. The former head – yeah, that was – what did I think I'm trying to remember what Manish Mehta just took that and ran with it. I think he did Sex Kissbury or Kiss Sexbury.
Yeah.
It was from Drew, but then Manish Mehta just used it in his article. So, Cliff Kingsbury, former head coach at Texas Tech, developed, is a QB whisperer and one of the most brilliant offensive minds. That's not really his concern. He helped develop Patrick Mahomes and was there for Baker Mayfield and Davis Webb and Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. Then he leaves and he's going to become the offensive coordinator at USC, but he's taken some NFL interviews. We'll talk about Kingsbury in a second because he's a controversial candidate because he's 35-40 at Texas Tech. There are concerns about him as a head coach, but regardless, he is a brilliant offensive mind, so you can't really be mad that they're bringing him in. The Jets were declined by Matt Campbell at this time, who was a fan favorite to get the job. Matt Rule by Baylor, there's been reports today that they're interested in bringing him in for an interview. And then probably my least two favorite candidates, Jim Caldwell was the Colts coach for a little bit and then the Lions coach, the offensive version of Todd Bowles in the sense that he's just lifeless on the sidelines. He has a winning record and is actually a solid coach despite, people not loving him, but he's not the fit for the Jets right now. And then the last one, Adam Gase, was reported today a few hours ago. Probably my least favorite candidate. Supposedly a QB whisperer, did nothing for Ryan Tannehill. I mean, he's really working off of Peyton Manning seasons in Denver, but did absolutely nothing with Ryan Tannehill, did not develop him at all. The Dolphins' offenses were, last or ranked towards the bottom of every sort of offensive category. Not really inspiring. His Dolphins teams weren't that good. He had them kind of always around the 8-8 range. They did go to the playoffs, I think, 2 years ago. And then probably the most important part is that a lot of his players hate him and have voiced their happiness that he is no longer their coach, similar to, I guess, Kyle. So those are all the candidates that the Jets have, unless I missed anybody. I think that's it, that the Jets have shown interest in. I'll turn the mic to you, Kyle. I guess your favorite out of these guys. I mean, who do you think the Jets should go with? Who do you think they will go with? Do you like the direction of kind of just casting this huge net? Any predictions? Just kind of your overall thoughts on the coaching search thus far.
Okay, I'll start with the one that you were just talking about, and Adam Gase. Adam Gase is someone I consider worse of a coach than Todd Bowles, at least at this point, for what he's done in his career and the little that he's done with the talent that the Miami Dolphins honestly had. I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but Mike Tannenbaum and the people running the Dolphins actually kind of assembled a decent squad for a little bit. Ryan Tannehill obviously was there before Tannenbaum, but they signed him to that extension. Devontae Parker, Jay Ajayi, Laramie Tunsil. I'm sure Mike Gesicki will work out eventually as a tight end. he's not having a great rookie campaign. And then the defense is pretty good on top of it, but Adam Gase has been able to do absolutely nothing with those core players. He's pushed away Devontae Adams. Oh, I forgot Jarvis Landry as well. Forgot to mention one of their best receivers of all time. They completely had to get rid of him because he wouldn't get along, or him and Adam Gase wouldn't get along. We'll put it at that. J.J. didn't get along with Adam Gase. Devontae Parker doesn't get along with Adam Gase. There have been rumors about Tannehill not liking Adam Gase, never really liking his system. Overall, it just seems that the players do not like Adam Gase, and he's not successful enough for me to say, okay, yeah, you can be a very smart offensive mind, but if your players hate you and it's not like you're winning games anyway, not worth it. So Adam Gase, step aside. Eric Bieniemy, I know you mentioned him. Somebody who I'm not going to say I don't have interest in. I am a little worried, though, because Ben and I were arguing a little bit earlier about his role in the Chiefs' offense, and I personally believe that play calling is the hardest part about being a offensive coordinator or an offensive-minded head coach who has those duties like Andy Reid does. What were we saying?
That is okay. That is not what the debate was. I brought up Eric Bieniemy, and Kyle said, and I quote, and I said, Kyle said, well, he's not even calling the plays. And I was like, well, he's designing them. He said, well, who cares? Anybody could do that. I could, design football players or whatever. Yeah. And I said, okay, first of all, Kyle, that's just dumb. No, we got into an argument because I said, yeah, I mean, being a creative play designer and having the plays that are fluid and work and are smart, frankly, is a lot harder than you were making it sound out to be. I'm not saying that play calling isn't important. For God's sakes, I've watched Jeremy Bates all season. I know play calling is important, but I said play design is equally as important, and you can't just downplay it as, well, he's just drawing a bunch of lines on paper and whatever. He's not.
I disagree with that.
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, what are you saying? As far as you're saying play calling is just super, way more important than play design, and play design doesn't matter at all, or what's your point?
Because football is completely situational.
You don't think play design matters at all?
No, I think it does matter. I don't think it's even close to when you're calling the plays, though. I think that's a fair statement.
It's like
no, I think you have to be good at it.
Will you stand by the fact that you think you could design plays all day and be equally as successful? Will you stand by what you said before the show?
The statement that you made was, look at Jeremy Bates, and I said, yeah, I think I do creative play designing.
I said, look at Jeremy Bates in the show. No. Yeah. No. I said, look at Jeremy Bates. Oh, yeah. I said, yeah, talk about play design not being important. Look at Jeremy Bates. This is before the show. I said, that's a guy.
I think with all the experience that he has.
Innovative and least creative play call or play design that I've ever seen, as far as Jeremy Bates running, a 12-year-old's Madden playbook.
Well, no, I think his
sure,
playbook you could do up more. I think he's just a poor play call.
My point was, and this isn't in defense of Eric Bieniemy as a head coach. My point was that you can't downplay creative play design. A guy who's a genius in X's and O's. I mean, even look at defensively, Kyle. Talk about defensive play design. Having guys specifically line up somewhere and fill this gap, so this gap will be more free. It's like a puzzle. What are you going to talk about? How it's not important? It's not just you four just rush the quarterback and you guys.
Not important. I'm saying the play calling, putting your players in good situations on the specific down instead of, handing it off to Elijah McGuire on 4th and 1 or just letting Darnold sneak it in. It's a matter of play calling. That's more important to me.
I understand. Well, I'll say this. You can't really have good play calling unless you have good play design.
Nah,
okay? Because if you're play calling,
and they go situationally. But damn well play calling is more important.
Okay, situationally. Okay, but situationally, let's say it's second and short in midfield, and you want to take a shot because you're going to have third down or whatever. That's your time. It doesn't matter if you make the right call and say, I want to take a shot. If your play is just not creative at all and you just have a Hail Mary concept where everybody goes deep and the defense can easily see what's happening, you want creative play design. You have guys who are breaking over the middle. You have guys breaking out. So you have it set up so pick plays and whatever so that there's always going to be a guy open for your quarterback. I mean, what are you talking? Bad play design. If you don't have good play design, you're not going to have good play calling. All good play callers have great play design. So I'm not – Bieniemy is on the fence for me because, yeah, you're right. It did take a while for him to become an offensive coordinator. He's only done it 1 year. Nagy and Peterson both called plays, I believe, when they were the offensive coordinator for Andy Reid, and he's only designing them. I'm concerned. But I don't think you can just, say, oh, well, who cares about that? Creative play design is important. And Eric Bieniemy, this past year, has been one of the best in all football, and you can't really dispute that. That's why Sean Payton is so good, not just as a head coach, but as an offensive mind. He's a terrific play designer. Yes, he knows when to call the plays, but his plays are genius. He's running plays that are different than people are running. I mean,
Ben, what do you think the Kansas City Chiefs' best play is? What play do you see them being super successful on consistently? Go ahead.
Balls with Mahomes.
There you go. Oh, wait. The fastest guy in the NFL beats everybody? Great play design.
So, Kyle, let me check your elementary understanding of how football works. You're thinking that their play call is just, hey, Tyreek, just go long.
Well, I'm saying it's a lot easier
what do you think everybody else
Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
What about the protection? What's the running back doing in the offense?
They have a horrible offensive line. It's not a great offensive line. They've been lackluster for most of the year.
Yeah, but protection factors into play design. I mean, this is just a moot point. Yes, play calling is important.
I want my head coach to have play calling responsibilities because that's the head coach's job.
Look at that pivot. That is not what we're arguing. Because I also agree that I don't think Bieniemy is the head coach. I don't think he's the right call. That was not the argument. The argument was not that.
That's exactly the argument. I'm not hiring somebody who doesn't have play calling.
No, it is not.
Look, he can draw up plays.
That is not. But we're not talking about hiring Eric Bieniemy as the head coach right now.
Then why
we were just talking about play design. We talked about it beforehand. You said, "Well, who cares? Anybody can do that." And I said, "Well, that's not necessarily true." I'm not saying that the Jets should hire Eric Bieniemy. Yes, but I'm not saying that just because I think he's a terrific play designer that he's necessarily going to be a great head coach. Being a head coach is more about just being good with the X's and O's. Yes, he hasn't called plays. We don't know how he is. Can he stand in front of 53 men and lead them? Can he handle all the responsibilities that comes with being a head coach and game management? I'm not saying Eric Bieniemy is my number one head coaching candidate. All I'm saying is before the show started, you just downplayed play design and then said, well, anybody can do that. I can do it. I can draw a playbook.
Over play designing every day of the week.
And I'm just you're taking away from the top offense in football. And
Andy Reid's offense. Yes.
Andy Reid's calling the plays, but Eric Bieniemy's designing them. I mean, it doesn't matter. You're right in the sense that they do go hand in hand, but you're wrong in the sense that play design is important at all. Keep it going with your thoughts on a few of these other candidates.
Cliff Kingsbury. I'm intrigued by him as an offensive mind. He's not a good head coach, though, record-wise. I mean, he struggled in the Big 12 for the most part. He does have Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, and Patrick Mahomes on his resume, and he apparently has been a key part to at least, I guess, Johnny and Patrick, because Baker Mayfield swears that he's just the worst person of all time next to Hugh Jackson. So, he definitely has some names. He has some impressive traits. Obviously, he's good-looking. Obviously, he knows, good play calling. He knows how to draw up plays, Ben. He's good at it, and he's good at executing them and calling them at the right time. But he hasn't been successful.
Okay, I'm just saying, but why do you think the great offensive mind? You think the great offensive minds are just purely they just know, okay, I'm going to call a run here. I'm going to call this play. No, it's part of it is the brilliance.
I'm under the belief that football is a lot of luck. On every play, I think to score a touchdown, you have to be lucky. Right?
That's not necessarily true.
I think that's pretty true.
Some of the times. But no, sometimes you can a QB can be so good that he can recognize the coverage that he's facing, call an audible or a hot route, receiver to beat that. That's not luck. He can see that, this is, whatever type of coverage, and this is the soft spot, and I'm going to hit this. That's not luck.
And then I'll say, okay, cool. Aaron Rodgers
play design.
Aaron Rodgers can do that every day.
Is it luck?
And then it's luck that when his center, bobbles the snap a little bit, and then Aaron has to pick it up off the ground, and a D lineman comes in and crushes him. That's luck. That's football.
This is such a stupid debate. This is such a juvenile element. Yes, Kyle. When the big man fumbles the ball, there is some luck for the defense on this other. Yes. Yeah, okay.
There's luck all over.
That is not the point. Yes,
the quarterback slips up a little bit.
In any game, there's some luck, but you can't just chalk. Well, it's all luck. I'm gonna just draw some lines on the paper and then call plays and we'll get lucky. Kyle, your understanding of football is really rubbing off on me right now because I don't understand what you think the most brilliant offensive minds, the ones the Sean Paytons, the Andy Reids, if you want to throw him out there, Cliff Kingsbury, in college, Give me any top offensive mind in the league, right? Sean McVay was the obvious one I completely spaced on. You think he's just lucky? That's the point that you're making right now?
I think a lot of just football in general.
No, Kyle.
A lot of times team score is because of luck.
No.
Or pure talent.
It's good coaching. You're right. Talent factors into it, but it's talent, good coaching, creative play design. There's play calling, situational awareness. There's plenty of factors that come before. Lucky. The center didn't drop the snap. I mean, what do you – well, such a bad debate.
We've seen it with the Jets before.
Yes, the Jets have been unlucky, but they've also been pretty bad, Kyle. It's not like they trotted out Super Bowl winning teams there.
TJ Graham drops a pass. Or
Kenbrell Tompkins, not TJ.
No, TJ Graham drops a lot of passes too. Yeah, you're right. It's Kenbrell Tompkins.
Yeah. No, anytime Kyle is wrong, he won't admit it. It's the most annoying thing.
I just admitted I was wrong.
Just people will respect you. You just did now, but you started to say TJ Graham drops a lot of passes and then quickly realized how stupid you sounded.
He does drop a lot of passes.
Yeah, you're laughing in the middle of his take because you know how stupid you're sounding.
Does TJ Graham not drop a lot of passes?
Oh my God. And then what was the other one? Is the Terrell Pryor? You know what's so stupid about that whole Terrell Pryor? Kyle, for those who didn't listen to it, Kyle for the entire offseason and first half of the season said Terrell Pryor was our best receiver.
Yep.
And that he was going to finish. The stat line prediction for him was also ridiculous. I
had over 1,000 and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, some ridiculous. Kyle just doesn't have anything to do with it. You're lucky, honestly. That you want to talk. You're right. You want to talk about luck? It's you. It's not skill at all. Because then, but then Kyle said it so much. Then I kept debating it. That somebody, who was it? Was it Scott or was it DA? Somebody tried to rope me in on you. Also.
They thought it was Ben's steak.
No, they just said both of us.
Yeah.
No, they said both of us were. I was like, whoa. I've been wrong plenty of times on the show.
I will say, since the season's over, then I will say you'll get this out of me. Terrell Pryor, I think, will continue to underachieve if he doesn't show maturity, and I think he's past the age of getting maturity. He's almost 30, for crying out loud. And
really?
Apparently he has 2 baby mamas right now. How am I supposed to know that he's going to have a season full of 2 baby mamas? I mean, come on. That factors into his play for sure.
Kyle, we knew he wasn't the best receiver on the Jets team at the beginning of the year.
Well, it's not like Quincy Inua is.
And then then it was then it was like, okay,
spot to take.
No, then you said if you could only have one receiver. No, then you said if you could only have one receiver, you kept choosing Terrell Pryor. It's like, no, if I'm starting a franchise, I'll take my chances with Robbie Anderson or Quincy Inua. Hell, even Jermaine Kearse.
You're gonna pick Robbie Anderson, who threatened to come in some cop's wife's eye. Yeah, great player to build your franchise around.
Yes, I'll take Robbie. Jesus, look at this. This is why I was talking to Kyle before the show. We should try to change the format of the show to we're called the Jet Take. We should try to do
disagreements, and then we kept agreeing on everything.
No. 3. No. We were gonna 3 clear debates, and we'll just we'll lay it out. We don't want to be as annoying as them, but we can have debates. We could do a rundown debates and have some callers, whatever. That could be the structure of our show. But it's never going to work, Kyle, because you are twice as arrogant as Skip Bayless. And you're just changing that. You're talking about
Ben's
Robbie Anderson.
In a bad mood and he's yelling.
I don't even want to repeat what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm in a bad mood because you're full of shit, Kyle, and you don't know what you're talking about. Wow. I mean, that's pretty clear to anybody who's listening to this podcast right now that you're literally just talking out of your ass.
Big mad mood. He is big mad.
I am, Kyle. I'm enough of your shit. I've taken it for 3 years now.
Okay.
Jesus. All right. Your thoughts on Mike McCarthy?
I'll pass. He's fat.
No, I'm kidding. I agree with you. Todd
No, I'll give some actual football analysis on that one. But him being fat is a.
Well, I don't need you to be.
That it is a takeaway. I don't want a fat coach. I'd rather have an ugly or a good-looking bad coach.
Relapse?
Did who relapse?
Did Bulls gain weight throughout the year?
Yeah, he had to.
The Bulls gain.
Yeah, they were like, he's getting skinnier, and I was looking at him. I was like, he looks exactly the same to me.
He was skinnier at the beginning of the year, though. I don't know. Maybe it was just cold.
It was the Todd Bowles diet. It finally worked for someone. Right? Hey, Brandon Marshall, we need
Brandon Marshall too. It took away all his physicality.
Yeah. hey, we need you to get skinnier so you can drop every
That was
ball
so
in the
stupid.
middle.
Can we just talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay. We've kind of get your thoughts on Todd Monken, though. I want to come back to that.
Okay.
This show's already off.
Todd Monken's actually done a phenomenal job down in Tampa Bay with – it seems that they lost a lot of games like 35-38 or like 30-33. He even outplay called Sean Payton the first week of the year with Ryan Fitzpatrick as his quarterback. It was, we saw another career year out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Deshaun Jackson got a little bit of a jolt a little bit. He's trying to get out of Tampa Bay right now some way or another. He'll definitely get some looks this offseason. Mike Evans had a nice year. Chris Godwin had a nice year, or a nice couple weeks at least. Who's their tight end? I know. Who's their white or not their? Not Cameron Brate. I don't even know if he's there anymore. The tight end, OJ Howard.
It was Cameron
Brate. Is Cameron Brate still on the team?
Brate. Hold on. Keep talking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Cameron Brate. It was OJ Howard and Cameron Brate. Hold on. 2018 Bucs roster reset.
Yeah, OJ Howard had a nice year for the most part. 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, it was Cameron Brate.
How'd Cameron Brate do?
Wait, hold on. Okay, this is so stupid. I'm sorry. Cameron Brate. Stats. Let's see what he's doing. Yeah, he's on the Bucs. Yeah, his 30 receptions, 6 touchdowns. Wow, okay. Literally better than Chris Herndon.
I mean, so 2 tight ends who are putting up decent amounts by the NFL standard, above average amounts for the NFL standard in yards and touchdowns. And, he's done a good job. With Dirk Cutter as your head coach, there's only so much you can do. And that offense consistently has ranked as like a top 10 all year for the most part. I think it even finished in top 5.
Yeah, Todd Monken is definitely the best candidate. I mean, he turned around a Southern Miss program that was 0-12 the year he got there, took him to a bowl game in 3 years. So he has head coaching experience. He goes to the Bucs and takes minimal talent there. And consistently, they're at the top of every offensive ranking, opposite of a guy like Adam Gase. And even I'm not a huge Fitzpatrick fan, but if you read the Manish Mehta article that has Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Fitzpatrick talks about he has what it takes to be a head coach, to stand in front of a room of 53 guys and lead them, and that's equally as important to being a big X's and O's guy. So yeah, Todd Monken's my guy. I mean, his biggest negativity, his biggest con, I guess, is his chin. But
does he have an ugly chin?
Look it up. He looks just look it up.
I
think he's the best candidate. But just go to images, you'll see. He just doesn't really have a chin. But he's the opposite of Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah, really quickly, my quick thoughts on these coaches. I would probably rank them.
This is it.
I'd probably go Monken. Kingsbury. Probably Monken.
He just doesn't have a chin.
Rule, Kingsbury. I know it's weird. Kingsbury.
His face is like an A cup. It's so weird.
Okay, I would go Monken, Rule, Kingsbury, McCarthy. I think that would be my top 4, and Bieniemy's 5th.
Okay. Well, my number 1 is Matt Rule, as I guess my Twitter people already know, since you named your top couple guys. Matt Rule is somebody who I have great respect for what he did at Temple, for the most part, is where I really started paying attention to him and giving him credit. He did a phenomenal job with the Temple program in the 3/4 years, whatever you want to call it, from 2013 to 2016. He did a great job bringing that Temple program back to life. Temple football really became good, the last couple years. They made a couple I think 2 bowl games in his time. So he brought them back to life. He produced NFL level talent. Robbie Anderson, Hassan Reddick, Deion Dawkins all went to Temple and have been on NFL rosters. I think Hassan Reddick ended up being a first-round pick. Deion Dawkins, I'm pretty sure he's on the Bills right now. Robbie Anderson, obviously what he's doing with the Jets. He built them from scratch for the most part, made them good, made them relevant again. Had SEC offers to go to Mizzou, could have went to Syracuse. These are big-time schools that are offering him, coming from the pretty small Temple, who he rebuilt. And then he went down to Baylor, basically, which at one point, or I guess in the last 3 years, was the scum of the NCAA with all the scandal that they had going on with Art Briles and all the bad stuff going on there. They were basically just living off the RG 3 years. Bryce Petty was eh. And then, the whole Art Briles situation, and Matt Rule comes in, half of his players left because they were able to get out of their scholarships. They didn't want to stay there. He took the guys that he had, and he's made Baylor at least respectable. I mean, it's not a great team. I'm not going to sit here and say he's built a juggernaut in the Big 12.
Give him a few more years, though.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine he's only been there for 2 complete seasons, I think, so far. And it usually takes 3 or 4 years to really build a nice core of seniors and guys who are above a 3-star and come back to Baylor. I mean, there's obviously a lot of talent in Texas, but he's just done a great job. And also, I love his experience everywhere. He's considered an offensive guy, but if you look at his track record, he was a linebacker at Penn State during the bad years. Well, we didn't know they were the bad years, but 94 to 97, they were bad years. But he was a linebacker at Penn State. And then he didn't go to the pros or anything. He immediately became a coach. He went right into coaching. He was a linebacker coach at Albright University, a defensive line coach at Buffalo, defensive line coach at UCLA, linebacker coach and special teams coach at Western California, assistant head coach, defensive line coach at Temple, QB coach at Temple.
Look at this. Look at the Kyle is just put. Oh my God.
Wikipedia to the max right now. Run game coordinator at Temple, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, tight end coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even coach offensive line and Giants.
When you first started talking, I was like, wow, you really – okay, maybe I was wrong. He wasn't,
I am prepared on Matt Rule. I have –
I know you I was insulting you because I figured, he doesn't do any studying. He's just talking about, whatever he sees on Twitter. And then also you started naming it. I was like, wow, okay, he actually – maybe he does know something else. And
you think I'm remembering Albright University?
Okay, but at least I'll give you credit for at least going into his past and talking about it instead of just saying.
But anyway, my point.
Saying he's lucky or whatever your point was earlier.
I'll take the backhanded compliment then. Thank you. But my point is, he's all around. He has coached at almost every position, like I said, quarterback, tight end, running back, special teams. He was a linebacker himself, defensive line coach. I mean, he's all around. He's coached positions since the 90s. When he's been around, he has seen different generations of football, and he has adapted from that.
Yeah, for sure. As Manish Mehta mentioned on a show when we talked about hiring a college guy, he said the biggest difficulty is building a staff. So with Rule, I really like Rule, but yeah, he's got to get a good offensive coordinator. If a guy like Monken doesn't get any other coaching jobs, I would love to bring Todd Monken in to run this offense. Defensively, I don't even know where you'd go. I always like to look at that former. I always like to look at fired coaches, honestly, because that means they were top defensive coordinators. So if I wasn't the Jets, I'd be like all over Todd Bowles. I guess Vance Joseph's a guy you could look at. I mean, you could look at like Marvin Lewis. I don't know if he's might be a little dusty. You could also look in-house and try to promote like Denard Wilson, secondaries coach, to defensive coordinator. Or look around the league and whatnot. But, yeah, you've got to build a staff around him because he hasn't really developed a quarterback. But I don't doubt him as a leader. So, I'd probably say Monk is my number one just because I like, what he's done with limited talent. And, he's had his head coaching experience. But Rule I would be very happy with. And even Kingsbury. The thing on Kingsbury is you've got to pair him with an experienced defensive coordinator. Yep. If you can do that, then he's exciting. Because the thing with him is, he right now, objectively, he's better suited as an offensive coordinator. Because he's one of the most brilliant offensive minds out there. Or as Kyle might say, he's just lucky. But
okay. Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. There, as an offensive coordinator or as a head coach, when you called that play, you had to know that Patrick Mahomes was just going to roll out, do what he does, and launch that thing. Because that's what he did in college, and he was damn good at creating plays.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's against Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, you can only do so much after you call the play.
I know. Okay. But my point was that he's a brilliant offensive mind. So the thinking is that, he can take this offense and the thinking is if you were to hire him as an offensive coordinator, which he wouldn't take, he probably would just get poached the next year, as a head coach. So you hire him a year early. You might deal with some growing pains or not. I mean, he was a head coach at Texas Tech. And you have the potential to hit big. He's a low floor, but a really, really high ceiling. Because if you hit on him, he's definitely the next Sean McVay. the next brilliant offensive mind. If you compare him with a veteran defensive coordinator, a guy who knows what he's doing and get that defense just set, and you let Kingsbury run with that offense, I mean, it could be really dangerous. He could turn Sam. And look, having a great offense is more important than having a great defense at this point in the league. Now, we'll see how the Bears do in the playoffs and whatnot, but I think it was all top 10 of the top 10 offensive DVOA teams made the playoffs, and I think only 6 of the 10 defensive ones did. I'd rather have a stellar offense under Cliff Kingsbury and just try to get that defense figured out with the coordinator. So, yeah, I mean, it's swinging for the fences on Kingsbury. You might strike out, and it could be really bad, and then you're sitting back here in 2 or 3 years and having to hire another guy as you're heading into Darnold's last year of his rookie contract. But it's a risk, but it could be one that could have the Jets holding up a Super Bowl trophy. I don't think they'll go with the case. I think Chris Johnson cares too much about fans' opinions. Mike Caldwell would be a terrible hire, or Jim Caldwell would be a terrible hire, even if he's a solid 8-8 guy coach. Maybe he goes down to the Bucs or something like that. But the Jets coaching position is too attractive right now to give it to a guy like that. McCarthy, I could see him having some success here, but he's not my top choice. He's definitely has the highest floor. I think he has him next year at 8-8, 9-7 immediately. But the question is how much higher can he go? Can he beat Belichick in the playoffs at New England? Can he win a Super Bowl with us and whatnot? All right, Kyle. I guess we've kind of gone over the head coaches as of now. When the head coaching news drops, I guess we'll do a emergency podcast or whatever. Really quickly, I guess before we wrap it up, just going over end of the year. So just to recap, Darnold's stats: 57.7 QB rating, 2,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and 2 fumbles, and a 57.7 completion percentage, 77 QBR. Isaiah Crowell, 143 carries, 685 yards, averaging about 5 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. His longest was 21. Robbie Anderson had 50 catches, 752 yards, 6 touchdowns. His longest was a 76-yard touchdown. Chris Herndon had 39 catches for 502 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Jamal Adams led the team in tackles with 115, 29 assisted tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 1 interception. So, just to kind of recap the stats for the Jets. Before we wrap up, Kyle, I guess we'll do some team awards, and then we'll get out of here.
Yep.
All right.
I think these are pretty easy, so they won't be.
So I guess I'll write them as we go. But MVP, Kyle, I'll give it to you. Pretty obvious.
It's obviously Jamal Adams, best safety in the league.
Offensive Player of the Year.
Yikes. I mean, nobody was really consistent the entire year. I can make a case for Herndon or Robbie. Robbie didn't come on till late. I guess the guy that was there for most of the games was Sam Darnold. I mean, the offense sucked pretty much the whole year. So I'll go Sam Darnold.
For Offensive Player of the Year, wow. For MVP, I'd go Jamal Adams. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going to probably go Sam Darnold was the engine towards the end of the year. But I'll say at the beginning, I would probably lean towards a guy like a Nunwa, and then he faded out.
Yeah, he faded out, got injured, and then Robbie didn't come on until the end when Sam did.
Yeah, Robbie came.
Herndon was kind of consistent.
And then you did see the difference when Sam was not in there versus Josh.
Yeah.
I'll go I could really see Sam for Offensive Player of the Year. I'll give it to Robbie just because of the next award I'm going to give to Sam, but it's really close. I would say Robbie just because he gave the Jets, at least he gave Darnold towards the end of the year, a legitimate receiving threat, which is outside of him and maybe Herndon, he would not have had. Rookie of the Year, I'll go Sam Darnold. Kyle, you?
I'm going to go Chris Herndon. He was I know I just gave Offensive MVP to Sam, but I think the best rookie this year was Chris Herndon. I know that's kind of counterproductive, but
I'll say. But anyways, most improved.
Jamal Adams. Actually, I take that back. Darren Lee.
I was going to go with Darren Lee too. Friend of the podcast, really came on throughout the season. Bummer to the end of the season on a 4-game suspension, but I'm really excited to see what he can do next year. He's very versatile, can play 4-3 outside linebacker, or can stick in the role that he's in. But a lot of Jets fans had already pegged him as a bust, and I was really happy to see for a guy who works so hard to really turn into a difference maker. And we saw the difference when he wasn't there. most regressed.
Oh, Tremaine Johnson.
Yeah, I'm going to go most regressed. I'm going to go Leonard Williams on this one. Not in the sense that he regressed necessarily. He just didn't take off, and he just hasn't taken off. He's just plateaued as a solid to good defensive end. He's all right, but was he worth the 6th overall pick?
Probably not.
Kind of argue with the draft, how the draft played out, yeah, and obviously at the time he's the best overall player, sure, but at the end of the day, has he really met the expectations that when we drafted him? Probably not. So I'm going to go most regressed in the sense that he just didn't really improve. And yes, it will be Tremaine Johnson, but I have him for another move. Comeback player of the year?
Oh boy. Who came back from injury? Henry Anderson? Well, I guess he was injured. He was injured with the Colts.
Henry Anderson, yep.
Oh, okay. I couldn't think of like a Jets player that came back from injury last year. Or this year. Sorry. I guess Marcus May, but he didn't play that long.
Yeah. Best signing. Or we'll go best offseason move. How about that?
Henry Anderson. Oh, okay. Offseason move. I guess it's got to be Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Sam Darnold's probably definitely a move. Worst offseason move.
Spencer Long. I really do think that Tremaine Johnson will be better next year. I think players quitting over the past couple of years, the points that I made last week has to do with coaching. And when you said Denard Wilson up to defensive coordinator, no way. We got to get rid of the whole staff, everybody, because clearly players aren't playing for them. If you're not going to play for your teammates or your coaches, there's something wrong there.
Yeah, I agree there. That I think Spencer Long. I could also do Tremaine Johnson just because he's so much money tied up there.
Yeah, but it's the position, honestly.
Best play of the year.
Ooh. Robbie Anderson double coverage in what was that really nice catch that he made?
Denver?
I think so. Yeah.
The Sam Darnold kind of bomb against Denver. I think that's what you're thinking of.
I thought it was against Detroit, maybe.
Well, are you talking Sam Darnold's first touchdown? I think Sam Darnold's prettiest touchdown pass was against Denver. He had a nice little, I think it was a 40-yard bomb. Just dropped right in the basket.
I know Robbie went up and got it in like double coverage, and he just like stood up immediately after he caught it.
Huh. I'm trying to think.
Well, if we can't remember it, obviously it wasn't the best play.
Well, yeah, I think it was against Denver. I mean, he had the touchdown against Detroit to open up the season. Maybe you're talking about that.
Maybe. Okay, I'll go with this because it's the one I got the most hyped on. Darren Lee, pick 6.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I think probably my favorite play of the year, which I'll also say this is the best play of the year, Sam Darnold's scamper kind of touchdown to Robbie Anderson against Buffalo. I think that was probably just one of the most impressive plays I've seen from him. And I think that kind of started the momentum that he got towards the end of the season. Where he had that play, and then he led the game-winning touchdown drive, and then he had 2 great games against Houston and Green Bay. And then the last game against New England wasn't amazing, but the whole team didn't really play that well. He played solid and had a few highlight plays. But I'd probably go that touchdown to Robbie Anderson. He had the longest run until a touchdown pass all season, and like for the past 3 years. Last one, best game of the year. Your favorite game of the year, Kyle? I don't think there's many choices. There's just the one, obviously, but go ahead.
Yeah, I guess Detroit to open up. Yeah. That was fun.
That was definitely the most enjoyable game of the year. I could make the argument that towards the end of the year with Green Bay or Houston, one of those games was kind of fun because we were rooting for the tank, and then Darnold was lighting it up. But Detroit bouncing back from that interception and just an all-around dominant game. Our rookie quarterback looked good. Robbie and Quincy both had touchdowns. Isaiah Crowell had a terrific game. Andre Roberts ran back a kick. Darren Lee, friend of the podcast, had a pick 6 and whatever. So I'd probably go with Detroit as the best game of the year, as most people would agree. Well, Kyle, that'll do it for us. It was certainly an interesting show. I apologize if I lost my temper at your creative argument. But I'm really looking forward to
creative differences.
Oh my God, I'm just gonna lose my shit again. No, Look, at the end of the day, Kyle and I fight, but we do love each other, I think, in some weird, twisted way.
We just need to have another kid. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, I think that'll solve all our problems. Well, you can follow our show at The Jet Take on Twitter. You can listen to it. Just search up The Jet Take wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also find us on turnonthejets.com. Just go to, the best place for Jets content. You can search up our podcast there. You can find other podcasts. You can find other Jets great content. They have you covered all throughout this head coaching search, free agency, the draft, offseason. Go to Turn on the Jets, and so do we. I'm really looking forward to this offseason on this podcast. Looking forward to snagging some bigger interviews. And doing the show with Kyle. So, Mr. Fahey, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another episode of the Jet Take.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I think we'll have a head coach, or at least have a better idea of who the head coach, candidates are for the next time we do a show. As I said, when they do announce the job, we'll do an emergency pod. So I'm really looking forward to that. But anyways, guys, let's hope the Jets don't mess up this hire. Everybody, happy holidays. Everybody's getting back to work, which is somewhat depressing. And we don't have Jets football to clear us up, but we can watch stress-free, non-Jets related football. Go Jets, baby. I don't have the sound bites. This is just awkward to end.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll just edit here.
There. But
yeah.
Peace.
All right.